Yes. So there are, oh, Elden Ring, oh, Elden Ring. No, absolutely not. That's true. That's true. So, uh, and Elden Ring, I had a little foray in Dark Souls many, many years ago, and I sucked terribly. I got discouraged. And then I heard of Elden Ring. Looked at the screenshots, and they were so bloody beautiful. I just loved them. And it looked so nice. But I thought to myself, no, it's this sort of Souls like from software stuff. It's difficult. It's better to watch the screenshots. But then I tried playing, and after dying quite a lot, I decided that this game is. I started playing because I loved the looks of the game, and I stayed for a little for the gameplay. I stayed for the world, and after playing a lot of these games, I started watching various YouTube video essay videos about the lore of the game as well, not only, excuse me, not only guides or tactics or whatever. And this talk is based on that. So I am standing on the shoulders of giants, basically. And my input here is to sort of put it into, to order it a little bit and bring what I feel is a lot of enthusiasm, because I am actually, I have never played any computer game. I have played video game, computer game. I have played so many times. I have completed it 3 times, and I'm starting my 4th New Game Plus. So as of today, I started it to check something at the very beginning of the game. So this is these are the inspirations of these are names of YouTube channels. I will go back to them if you need to by the end. And the first and the most important, I want to talk about them because at least some of them. So Vatividia is sort of a classic, right? His lore videos are just fantastic regarding from software games in general. Same with Smowtown and Square Table Gaming, who produced a compilation video of all their Elden Ring lore videos, which lasts about 12 hours. Elden Ring lore to sleep and study to, which I did, mostly sleep, and I watched the whole of it, and there was something missing from my life when I finally finished watching it. But so these are awesome guys. They have their own different sort of approaches, theories, but the most interesting one, and I think the one who which influenced me the most when because of some of his crazy ideas in many cases, crazy connections, is the Tarnished Archaeologist, whom I recommend just to look at how he talks about the video game world. It sort of changed my perspective, where he does literal archaeology, not in the sense of digging holes, because Elden Ring is not Minecraft or Dwarf Fortress, but rather it's about comparing, for example, art styles, comparing why does this building look like this, and then why does the other building look absolutely different, and you have all these ruins over there. They are totally different too, as if 3 different cultures built all those 3 different things. And so it's fantastic for me, and a lot of this talk is based on what he says. So this is about, so the title, to say again, is Arboreal Apocalypse, the floral but mostly connected to trees storytelling of Elden Ring. And this is a little bit of, this is just scratching the surface, and there is something more to talk. There is a lot of more to talk about it, and I actually feel that this, given that I have a PhD in literature and culturals. I do some cultural studies research. I think I will turn this into a academic sort of how to call it, academic project, because it's so fantastic the way these guys presented it. So the first concept, so if it sounds a little bit academically because of that, then I'm sorry, but maybe it's not that bad. So this is, yeah, one of the first images we see when as the player as the Tarnished, so how our character is called in Elden Ring, which is of course a computer RPG by From Software, third person, and so on. Really, really beautiful art design, as you can see. And I don't know, Limgrave was, yeah, Limgrave is nice. I do love Limgrave, but for a long time, so after I spent a lot of time in Limgrave. I died a lot in Limgrave. After when I got out of Limgrave, it got better. I died a bit less. And then I remember returning to check something back in Limgrave, and the music started playing, and I was like, "Oh shit, someone's gonna kill me now! What? Oh no! Oh no! What's going on?" So I had this little scare. I was a bit afraid of that. But yeah, so many things are going on in Limgrave actually. So those of you who are fans of Elden Ring or From Software games probably know the term environmental storytelling. So From Software, the company is not are not the only ones who do it in their games. Yeah, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, which I'm currently going through. So I'm currently in Bloodborne, so different LED colors. That you don't have a lot of exposition, right? You don't have a lot of characters telling you, oh, this is this. Oh, these are the ruins which were created by someone. You don't have it really. And in essence, you can go through the game without learning a lot unless you try to look for information. So it's the art of sort of arranging a careful selections of the objects available in a game so that they suggest the story and so on. Right. So one of those things is what is this? Is this laser pointer? Is what I said about what the Tarnished archaeologist said in his video about the style. So we have this church here, right, which is one style. Then we have this tower, which looks even here a little bit out of place, right? A little bit like the stone is a bit different even from this bridge falling apart, but there are other towers here, yeah? And these ruins, right? This, what are they? What are they ruins of? Because when you come close to them, you see that they are, yeah, it wasn't a building that stood somewhere here in this place and then collapsed. No, it's something absolutely different. And therein lies the mystery. We start thinking, and then we find places where this architecture it comes from, and it suddenly makes sense. By the way, like in the description of this talk, there are going to be spoilers. I sort of treat it a little bit academically, and if that's not okay with you, I fully understand. But to be honest, when I started watching these lore videos on Elden Ring, I haven't really finished the game yet. So I spoiled myself to some degree. But for me, sort of as an aside, it made me want to play even more because I heard about this awesome place or this awesome character or this awesome boss. Oh no, don't, no. How could you? How could you? Law of regression. Don't use law of regression in Lindell. Never, never. It's not worth it, you know. Intelligence plus faith? No. Who does that? Just to answer a question from a guy in a golden mask. Why? Why would you do that? So there are going to be spoilers. Yeah, that's it. But spoilers made me want to play the game more. I'm sort of avoiding them a bit more in Bloodborne. I know the overarching story. I know what it's about. I know the big secret, but it's all right. The challenge is getting there. So and apart from looking at the world itself, one important aspect which will come up a lot here is the descriptions of the items, which again one can, if one isn't inquisitive enough at the beginning especially, one can omit, right? Because I have actually I never noticed for the longest time in my playthrough that there is a there is a button that says alternative view or something like that. And if you click it, you have the description. And I played without reading the descriptions. Yay me. And then I learned that, oh, I could click. Oh, that's where they are getting this from. So environmental storytelling. And because of this environmental storytelling, we don't have one answer, right? We can try to piece together the narrative. I'm rambling a bit now, but I hope I'm at least rambling enthusiastically. We cannot piece together a whole narrative because whom do we trust? Even the descriptions of the items, if we look closely, I think, may be written or said in universe by someone else, by other different people, talking about different things. So can we really trust them? No, of course not. We cannot trust anything. We should be suspicious of everything. And some of these theories you can find online are easy to disprove, but also easy to prove. So it's difficult to say. There are contradictory aspects of it. And you say Radagon is Marika. But what does it really mean? Right? Are they the same person? Is she changing herself? Did she marry herself? Did she have babies with himself? Did he have babies with himself? How did he have babies with Renala? How did they make those babies? How do they make babies in the lands between? That's a very important question, as you will learn. So, let's move on. The game starts, I would like to start with this quote because I do love it. When you play the game, you create your character or you sort of enter it. The game, you say play, you have this cinematic. It is a typical, to some degree, FromSoft cinematic, I guess a bit similar to what you get in Dark Souls 1 and others. You have this exposition about the world is once the world was perfect, but then Malenia is Blade, and she has never known defeat. The world is sort of now it's terrible. Now it's fallen. Now it's destroyed. It's rotting. It's sort of doom, gloom. Everything's gone, become worse and worse and worse. But here I do love this opening. The very first words that the narrator says are the fallen leaves tell a story. And then the text, it continues. Yes, it does sound like. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think mythological sources definitely. Right. So, and it might answer a lot of questions later on, but yes, and I'm thinking about poor Radan. I think Radan was the only normal one of the Renala babies. Rani had strange ideas. Rykard is Rykard, and he was strange, or is strange. So the fallen leaves tell a story. And why do leaves tell a story? Why the fact that leaves fall tell a story? Is the story transmitted somehow through the leaves? Or why is it relevant? I have my own theory, I will say at the very end, but that's my theory. And so the idea is that, but however, whatever it might mean, it starts with foliage, it starts with plants, it starts with the tree, which then we have the focus on the Elden Ring, the shattering of the Elden Ring. About Marika knew nothing about it, obviously, but yeah, what happened. And Radagon tried to supposedly fix it, maybe, who knows, but he didn't. Maybe if he tried finger, then it would work. And if not finger, then pickle. So the fallen leaves tell a story. Pickle's a plant, so that's important. But food, but still. Trees are important here. Plants are important in this game. So many items, so many images are somehow based on plants, obviously. So the raw fruits, the raw raisins, the many other things that the different kinds of flowers, which are, when you think about earth tree flowers, so the faded, the tarnished, the radiant, if I remember correctly. But trees, and especially the earth tree, sort of plays the most, obviously, the central part, one of the central parts, I would say. And so this is the image. It's not from my game, but this is the image I had to check just to be sure and started this new game plus again. If you played the game, you probably know. The game starts with this. So you have the cinematic, then you open and then you appear as your character in this sort of something that looks like a demolished church or some kind of building like that. It's demolished, which is normal for From Software games. It is decaying, yes, normal. It has some dead body in it. Yeah, sounds. It is gray and dark and brown and dilapidated. It doesn't look new and it doesn't look colorful in the least. And then you open the doors and the first thing you see is the big, ginormous golden tree. Among this castle rampart, which you would know from Dark Souls, some images like that, this Gothic-like, architecture that you can see here. You have this. Everything is gray and bluish and brownish, not saturated, and then you have this big tree. Yeah, it could be. So this mythology could work here. So, but it's sort of fun trying. It is a good point. Yeah, I think is mythology like that, sort of trying to recreate people's ideas. There are so many things, and then someone comes along and decides, okay, now we have to, put it back together again so that it makes sense and make some decisions. So mythology is a certain interpretation of such scattered elements. So, but sort of strictly when it comes to images, the Earth tree stands out, not only as literally as a gigantic tree taller than anything else in the game world, not only as something which is, let's say, your objective, as we soon learn. I will get to that, but also I think it's interesting that it stands out design-wise or color-wise. It is shining, whereas the rest of the world is not shining, is not bright. So it creates a contrast, but also tells us something, I think, right? This is not like the sun, right, which is shining and making everything bright. It is very golden, it is very radiant, but it is this kind of light that doesn't make things brighter, which this is the idea I just came up with, literally just now. This is the best kind of idea. So we see it. We see it from this perspective, and then so Hidetaka Miyazaki, who was the sort of the biggest name. I'm not sure if he was the game director of Elden Ring, probably yes, but of many other FromSoft games. He says the lands between, so the world in which we play, are blessed by the presence of the Elden Ring, the eponymous Elden Ring, which I won't talk a lot about the Elden Ring itself, but it is sort of like a what is it? The Elden Ring set of rules of reality, maybe something that can be shattered at the same time. It is important that it was shattered, but of course, no proof that Marika knew anything about it, and other events leading to it. So he says the lands between ye are blessed by the presence of the Elden Ring and by the Earth Tree, which symbolizes its presence, so the Elden Rings. And this has given grace or blessing to the people throughout the land, great and small. What this represented in them is this sort of golden light, or this golden aura that's specifically shown in their eyes, and this symbolizes the blessing or the grace of the Earth Tree. So here we already start, I think, to look at some discrepancies. Okay, so there is the Elden Ring, and people are blessed, 1, by the Elden Ring, 2, by the Earth Tree, which is separate here. And Earth Tree symbolizes the presence of the Elden Ring. And the golden light that we see in various runes, and the golden light that we can associate with the Earth Tree, excuse me, and with grace is sort of grace of the Earth Tree, which sort of makes those two things very connected, but not fully, one might say. Okay, and so the Earth Tree, as I said, is the goal. So one of the first things we are told by an NPC who actually wants something from us and doesn't make us feel bad that we are maidenless. It's nothing bad in being maidenless, late bloomer. I have no idea how, to be honest, is it even a planet? I don't, it's what are stars? Stars, if a star falls, a star is said to be the crystallized fate of the gods. Stars are fate there. So it's just, what is going on? And falling stars are aliens, basically, different creatures, if you think about it, and meteorites. So we have Melena, who has this, her name is beautifully, can be beautifully read in Polish. And she wants us to go to the Earth Tree, or rather to take her with us in some capacity. She's immaterial and she goes with us, and she will help us, and she needs us to take her to the foot of the Earth Tree, right? So from the very beginning, the Earth Tree becomes the objective. The Earth Tree is what we should strive for. From the very beginning also, we learn that this very difficult boss at the beginning of the game shtick, we meet this guy, Tree Sentinel. We walk along, yeah, nice beginner area, and then we see dramatic music and a big health bar pop up on our screen, and this guy probably destroys us. So he is a Tree Sentinel, and he sort of guides or guards or makes us not want to go there. So he guards the trees because he's a Tree Sentinel, and he has this big shield with roots around it with some 2 figures here, difficult to make out. And the descriptions tell us that the shield, forged of gold, carried by the order of 3 sentinels, heavily equipped knights. Yeah, we can see that very heavily. Blessed by an old incantation of protection, and living rampart of the Earth Tree. So some sort of knights which protect it, it seems, from us. So it's not starting yet. Not, it looks a bit confusing. Yes, the amount, definitely the amount of confusion is, I think the world revolves around many axes, or rather people would like it to revolve around the Earth Tree, but something got sort of a little bit borked, as they say. So there are fortunately more positive connections to the Earth Tree itself. And as I've said, there are many items sort of connected with plants, connected also with the Earth Tree, because I'm not sure if we can see it here. No, we cannot actually, but the Earth, we very quickly see smaller trees. which look a little bit like the earth tree, but are smaller. So what's going on there? We have questions all the time. And from the very beginning, we get the two items that are essential items. The red one gives us red juice. The blue one gives us blue juice. Red is health. Blue is mana, or HP and FP. And these are flasks of crimson and cerulean tears. And for the longest time, I thought tears. Yeah, so tear as in something falling from my eye when I cry. So who was crying? What's going on? But then we can look at them, and it's like roots and branches, and this sort of decorated with that. What's going on? And the sacred flask modeled after a golden holy chalice that was once graced by a tear of life. Tear of life, interesting. Okay. So moving on, we have these items. In some way, they are again a staple of many of Dark Souls, and not only Dark Souls. So we are equipped with them. They work, if we know FromSoft games, they work in a similar manner, familiar manner, sorry, rather. So, but then we have, of course, items that enhance our flasks. And we get to learn more and more things. We have the sacred tier. This is taken from Fextra Life wiki about Elden Ring, so that's why we have the watermark. But they are also they were very helpful in creating this presentation. So we have Blessing of the Earth Tree, worshipped in the churches of all lands. This is but a faint vestige. So suddenly we have this connection with the Earth Tree, but it's a faint vestige. These tears were used to spread the faith, for theirs was once a certain blessing. This is used to make our flask heal more, to enhance it. And the other one is golden seed. And golden seed starts to be interesting, I think, because a golden seed found at the base of an illusory tree. There are those little small trees, they are like man-sized, about, so not ginormous like the ones we can see on the horizon. And then we start, this adds a rather nice element. So these are the descriptions of the items, of course. When the Elden Ring was shattered, Marika knew nothing about that, but this was a moment which sort of precipitated a lot of the decline of the world of the lands between, of the reality as well. Things started going worse and worse from that point on. So when the Elden Ring was shattered, these seeds flew from the Earth Tree, scattering across the various lands as if life itself knew that its end has come. So this is not those seeds are not part of the original plan, basically. And they, I think, give us the number of uses of the flasks. So we can use the flasks more as if infusing by the power of different smaller trees. So the tree itself, the seeds went out from it because the tree itself felt earth tree. Uh-oh. Yeah, something's not right. Something's going badly. I need to procreate. I need to send my saplings everywhere so that there is more of me. Yeah, so this, whenever we feel stressed and existential dread, it's always about sex, it seems, even for one tree. So its time had come. So we have this passing on, we have this decline, and so on. So exactly. And through the ground as well, through roots and fungi. Oh, I haven't even touched upon the fungi. Maybe that's good that I haven't. No scarlet rot here. So, and the fallen leaves tell a story again. Should a leaves of an eternal tree be falling down? Yeah. There is, but what are the tears, right? Why do we have the tears? There is another mystery. And we have the Flask of Wondrous Physique. A very nice item, which is customizable. We find items, so-called crystallized tears. You can see it at the bottom, which are allow us to. You can put two of them in this flask, and they give you different effects. So from buffing something, from healing you, and so on. So it is a mixture of those tears, crystal tears. So and they are taken from the minor earth trees, collected from basins at the feet of the minor earth trees. And we do find these basins. So these tears, bases in a moment, I just took it from Extra Life, just copy pasted it. But you can see there are different different versions here. I need to know how much time do I have? An hour, so still some time. So we have various different tiers, cerulean tiers, right? So all of them, basically, you can see the effect here. But a crystal tier formed slowly over the ages where the earth tree's bounty falls to the ground. Whatever the earth tree's bounty is, we don't really know yet to some degree. Or at least we won't know from this, because remember environmental storytelling. So we put those tiers in the flask, and we get some effects. Just like we put some energy, life energy of the earth tree, and we put it and we get healed by it. So indeed, this is, as you can see, the collection basin here. So we have this tree. This is the minor earth tree. It's really small, as you can see, compared to the original earth tree. And there are those basins here that something could fall into, basically, right? There is more of that there. We have Queen Marika's, who did nothing wrong, bedchamber here, which also conspicuously looks, apart from looking extremely uncomfortable, looks like half of this collection basin, or at least inspired by it. And this is connected to many theories. Exactly why is that? Is it to represent something more than just repetition of the style? Because actually, if you, as far as I remember at least, if you look up as much as you can look up from this bedchamber, so you have to hop on it because the Black Knife Assassin cannot get on the bed with you. I don't know why. That would be nice, but if you look up, you can see that the roof is opened and something could fall down. So the idea that this is taken from the Tarnished Archaeologist. The idea is that those tears might be inspired by sap, or not resin really, but by sap. And he gives the examples of the Tears of Chios, which is a Greek island where there are trees which produce the sap. They are sort of nicked as if they have gashes made into them. You can sort of see them here, right? And sap flows from them and falls to the dries, falls to the ground, like tears. Look, is called tears, looks a little bit like tears, and is then collected, and various things are made from it. This is very fragrant, so perfumes are made from it. And if you remember, there is a type of enemy that is called a perfumer. So it is taken. There is a connection there, and if you think about it, they don't really look similar. But yeah, for example, here it's cracked, right? But here there are two connected. There are those not crystal tears, as this sort of droplet of sap can, a little bit like here actually, right? So it's sort of, even the image is sort of similar. So this is taken from a Tarnished Archaeologist idea, and I did love it, because if we take it, this explains what the tears are. The tears are implied throughout the game that they come from the earth tree. So that might be that, most likely. And more often than not, another aspect which is also interesting is the religious connotation, because the earth tree is many times referred to by the symbol of the golden order, so the ruling religion, which the religion or the ideology that was the most important, the ruling one, Marika's golden order, Queen Marika's golden order, which sort of, where was I? Which, and there is the religious connotation. The tree has, of course, the religious connotation, right? It's sort of tree that is like the center of the world. And I haven't really spoken or mentioned any real life images or interpretations of trees in mythology or yeah, exactly, the tree of life concept. Maybe I should have mentioned that, but I thought it was obvious that the earth tree definitely brings to mind the notion of the Yggdrasil, for example, like a big tree that is central to the universe. Whatever it does, it is very central, literally or figuratively. So this is and the tree of life and other aspects. Because trees are important in general. So another important, so the perfumers are also an interesting concept. Yeah, so the sap is taken from the trees, and it is used in different, you can buy it, it is used in different types of sort of perfume. We have the Lyndale perfumers who are sort of looking at those collection bases, which look a lot of like sort of those basins in which you could, what's the word? Baptismal basins where you could baptize people. They have those containers there. And it, again, according to the Tarnish archaeologist who loves this sort of anthropological, archaeological aspect, is quite similar to some of the containers in which chrism being this sacred oil used in most important, here it's Orthodox Church priests, but not only, which is used in various religious ceremonies. And supposedly the tears of Chios are part of this mixture that makes up the oil itself. And it's a very complicated secret process. It is done every set amount of time for especially Orthodox churches, and it's made in a specific place by specific people who specialize in that, and then it's closely guarded secret what the contents are. So religious connotations to some degree, tree imagery everywhere, which I will touch upon briefly, but those are also quite interesting, and quite literally the tree of life. So and we learn quickly, we can, and sort of there are things that support this idea. So we have the blessed dew talisman depicting a drop of the earth tree sap, a blessed boon. It was once thought that the blessed sap of the earth tree would drip from its boughs forever, but that age of plenty swiftly came to a close, and with time the earth tree became more an object of faith. So at one point it would seem that the earth tree gave real benefits, right? The earth tree gave real dew, which had this miraculous power, and now it doesn't. No, not anymore. So people venerate the earth tree as an object of faith, not as a thing as a thing that produces certain specific boons. And it is even more supported by the fact that crystal tears are found only around those smaller new earth trees, minor earth trees. And the sacred tears that I mentioned some time ago, they are not found. They are found in some faraway places, and generally mostly in dilapidated, destroyed ruins of churches, in churches of Marika, which probably is the sort of ritualistic instrument that our tarnished takes and uses to gain power, basically. So the earth tree just stands there, isn't really that producing anything, because maybe the shattering of the Elden Ring destroyed something in it. Maybe that's, and various different powers or concepts come from those smaller trees, not this big one. So it's object of faith. We have the Crimson Sea Talisman, another one, which it is patterned after a Crimson Earth Tree seed. It boosts HP restoration. Here you have the... Yeah, so yeah, primarily physical, secondary spiritual. Yeah. Just though there are theories that actually the Earth Tree is just an illusion. It's not real anymore, but difficult to prove. So it was once perfect and eternal, and thus was it believed that Earth Tree seeds could not exist. Another bit. Why would you need a seed for a tree that will stay eternal, will produce this blessed sap or tears forever? But then it stopped. So, and it maybe matured, it spread its seeds, and smaller trees appear, and they have some miraculous power still. So the Earth Tree is next part is death in the lands between. So the Earth Tree, this part, the longest part, because I don't have much time left, is probably the what I wanted to show here is sort of the connection, how much the story of the game with this Earth Tree as one of the most important visible artifacts in the game world is closely entwined with the game mechanics itself, right? The Earth Tree, it was a bringer of life, was something that provided at one point unlimited, it would seem, life energy, because the flasks of cerulean tears and crimson tears especially are life-giving, and they are alluded to as being modeled on those past glories. We basically have to as the player, we have to look for hidden sacred tears to add something of this power of the Earth Tree to our flasks, and we have to look for those golden seeds of the Earth Tree, which in the perfect world, according to the Golden Order, shouldn't even be there in the first place, right? So this underlines this sort of underlies this aspect of a world in decline, which is so familiar to, I think, anyone who played From Software games, and not only them. So another aspect is that of death. The lands between are not healthy. People are either soldiers in armor, and we don't really see them, or are those strange zombie-like creatures. I took them for zombies for the longest time, but they are not actually zombies. Zombies are something different. And lots of ghosts sitting there and looking dejected and not happy about anything. And we learn that a proper death means returning to the Earth Tree. Have patience until the time comes and the roots call to you. So this ghost here tells us that, and I love that we have this ghost here and the spiritual mushrooms around the roots of maybe the Earth Tree. I don't remember. I'm not sure where this is, but the concept, people were not only nourished by the Earth Tree, venerated the Earth Tree, people were buried in the Earth Tree. So death, literally, but not only. So we find various. One of the mechanics is the sort of ashen remains. The you can summon something like ghosts, one might say, to help us in battle, and they are described as sort of bodies that have not been properly buried in some way. So this is a little bit contradictory, this description, but it gives some information. So ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell, used to summon the spirit, in this case of this guy, and he earned the hero's honor of Earth Tree burial. So we learn quite quickly about Earth Tree burial, and we quickly see what it is. So these are the Earth Tree burial watchdogs for the longest they look creepy, like creepy cats, not as dogs. And there are many catacombs in this game, maybe too many. And we find at the end, in the boss room of everyone, those roots and bodies stacked, piled around them, sort of being slowly, one might say, digested or taken in. So here, by the roots, here we have a close-up on the left. So it is a rather creepy image. And the Tarnish archaeologist goes again, and among others, he goes into a long sort of description how, because we have the catacombs, it means that there were in the past other ways of other means of burial, but these were supplanted by the earth tree in a way. And there are still tombs which, as you can see, have those niches, so which would be typical catacombs in which you would put the bodies here, or the urns with the remains. But no, now we put the bodies in the earth tree, and people would be reborn in some way. There's a lot of elements about returning to the earth tree and being reborn. And the problem with that is Deathroot. Deathroot is what is responsible for undead, really. So it's a source that gives rise to, as they are called here, those who live in death. Because they're not dead per se. They didn't die and then come back to life. They just died and stayed dead and just didn't have nowhere else to go, basically. And without the stolen rune of death, so this dire plot enabled the death of a demigod, and later the rune of death spread across the lands between through the underground roots of the great tree, which here stands for the earth tree, sprouting in the form of Deathroot. So when other events around the time of the shattering of the Elden Ring, other things were broken, actually. And this is the world in which death is broken. Death is no longer working. So people either don't die, or they die and they die but they remain undead, or they remain as ghosts, but there is no one set way of doing it anymore. Oh yes, there are many layers to the yes. There are people who die, who don't die. Yeah, because those I was quite surprised when those in Limgrave actually you have those walking zombie-like guys that just shuffle around, and I thought, yeah, okay, they are undead, they are zombies, but no, they are just wandering nobles. They are regular people. It's just how people look like in the lands between, some of them, right? So they're alive. They die quickly when we get to them, but still. So but those who live in death are sort of the most reviled by many. So we have those typical undead, but we don't really know when that took place, because we don't have, that's another thing in Elden Ring, we don't have time references. We don't know that, okay, this night of the Black Knives took place 200 years ago. We don't know if it's 200 or 2000 or whatever else, right? We don't know how erosion works in the land between and who built and rebuilt those buildings. So, however, because of hello there. So this is the creepy image. Don't look too much into it because it's extremely creepy. This is the first demigod who died, Godwyn the Golden, very golden, as you can see. Later known as the Death Prince, or Prince of Death, something like that. So he was given the earth tree burial. Probably his body was put somewhere near the roots of the earth tree. We find him under there, deep underground. And he basically, the destined death, as it's called, those deathly energies that were used to kill him, were inside of him. And they corrupted the earth tree. So now that's another layer in which because the tree was broken, everything got broken, and because everything got broken, the tree got broken. So it's this sort of intersecting, intermingled aspect, right? We have the death blight, which here sort of is death blight is this beautiful status effect mechanically in game where you have things like hemorrhage, so you bleed a lot, or you have frozen, you get more damage because you're numb and you are slower, and then you get death blight when this progress bar of death blight is filled, you die, and that's it. It's not that you feel worse or you are poisoned. No, you die. Very spooky when you learn that, when it first happens. So yeah, as we can see here, nothing good happens. And this is this sort of one of the many ways in, yes, never forget. He was one of the good guys. Yeah, he was, poor Roger. But he gave us this awesome rapier. His rapier was awesome, is awesome. I used it for so long. So, so no, they're nice. You just stagger, poke, poke, poke. I loved it when I used it, but I think I used shittier weapons before that. So we have we have the game mechanic in which death, in which life or life-giving energies, those transformative energies, are there. The fact that and everything is sort of reflected in the world. We have death, which is broken, and part of our quest, it seems, is sort of doing something about it, at least partially. And finally, there is this little suggestion I will briefly mention. So, going over time, is Earth Tree giving literal birth to people. So this one is the sort of biblical image of the tree of Jesse that is repeated on this replica. So this replica of the Elden Throne, this sort of tree with people in it, which has been theorized. And this is, we go into those more strange theories, which we cannot, I think, really prove. There are sort of people appearing in the bows. So what if it was, we put dead people in the earth tree, in the roots, and they go up and they are reincarnated in the bows, and they fall down almost, or are taken and given life by the earth tree. And there are some suggestions. Melina talks a lot about it. She says that she was born at the foot of the earth tree where mother gave me my purpose. So sort of born at the earth tree, mother gave purpose. Then we have the story part of the quest of the seamster Bok, who is a demi-human. He is and demi-humans are sort of monstrous beast-like humans who are often savage and reviled by more regular humans, but they are and Bok talks a lot about his mother, about the influence he wants to make his mother proud. He wants to be a seamster like his mother. Bok is beautiful, yes, I agree. And then yeah, that's yes, yes, yes. Whoa, oh no, could be. That's nice. And basically, just to finish up this element, Meleda comments on him that he wants someone to tell him, I think he misses his mother. He wants someone to tell him he's beautiful. Does being born of a mother mean one behaves in such a manner? So it has been interpreted as if Melina was not born of a mother. Maybe she was literally born of the earth tree and doesn't have this parent-child connection to the point that that she finds Bok strange. She doesn't understand him. And she later on in one of the possible endings tells us that if we do something radical, so I'm sort of not maybe a little bit avoiding saying it directly, is that the destruction of the Earth Tree would render the land itself lifeless, as if the tree itself is the giver of life, gives life to everything, including people. Even if the world is mired, though this sentence, however ruined this world has become, however mired in torment and despair, life endures, births continue. Other sources would claim that births do not continue in this world, at least human births. So, yeah, that's why it's, I think, one of those contentious theories. But later on, she says, as one who strives to become a lord, deny not the lives, the new births of this world. And she tells us, do not destroy the Earth Tree fully, because we damage it a bit, right? But we do not destroy. But this choice here would destroy it fully. So if we would do that, people would not get born anymore. So here, the Earth Tree is basically, so another image to finish up, central in that in this sort of interpretation, we can see it as a landmark. It very visually tells us, this is where you have to go. Go. It's big. Go. It's hard to miss it. It's visually striking. The image of the Earth Tree, the contrast between the lands, the architecture below and the tree above is what got me interested in the game itself, the very image. It is responsible for a lot of game mechanics are connected to its sap, to its seeds, and so on. It is in universe connected with, and finally, it is connected with how the world works. It gave a lot of miraculous power to the orthodoxy, to the church, or the organization of the Golden Order. It was used as a means of burial. So people were buried. They just like you would have a sort of various types of burial. Here you would have a earth tree burial. And it can be speculated that people were literally born from it, or at least that people who were marked in some way by the sap, by the energy of the earth tree, were reborn and were truly born as true humans, as opposed to the others who were not human themselves. So thank you. This is the end. Sorry for sort of going over time, but thanks for staying for those 4 minutes. And yeah, I think if we had time, I would sort of think about questions and stuff, but I think that's it. If you have questions, you can ask me on Discord and I will try. Yeah. Team. Yeah. No one knows. Yeah. Yeah, that's I didn't hear that, but yeah, it just sells nicely. It's nice. It's not dark and gray. I don't know. But now I play Bloodborne, which is dark and gray and bloody and whatever. So I got immunized. I got hooked. Gateway drug. That's what it is. That's what this tree is. It's a gateway drug. Okay. So thanks a lot. I don't know. It's recorded. Is it still recording? Is it still on? Should I close it? Should I do something?
Kalendar, możesz wyłączyć nagrywanie?
Czy możemy już wyłączyć?